On this week's live stream, we hitch up a gang of pens and explore symmetry in scratch art. Plus, spot the camper in our modern-day Where's Waldo photo project. And we get a first look at David's innovative new chess remix game. All this and more coming right up on the Chromeworks live stream. Hey everybody, it's Mr. Tomec back again with another Chromeworks live stream that probably nobody is watching. So we're doing another lazy summer live stream and just telling you a little bit about some of the stuff we did at camp today. I'm joined today by David, my producer, who actually is here today. He was on vacation last week and sick the week before, so I've been working all the knobs and twirling all the buttons by myself. I guess you twirl knobs and push buttons. Sorry about that. Anyway, welcome to David.
Thank you.
Thanks. So David's going to be showing you his latest coding project in a little bit, and we're very excited to see that. David's an amateur game designer as well and has ambitions to maybe do this as a career someday. So he has taken the classic 3,000-year-old game of chess and added some new twists to it, and we're going to be talking all about that in a little bit. First, though, let's see who's with us as well as David. So I did see Liam Shaw had logged in on the YouTube server. Hey to Liam. I forget where you're from, Liam. And if anyone else is out there, I saw Zorez from England out there. And we're also joined by Deck, the decoder from London, England, who should be here as well. Hey, Deck, how you doing? I don't know if we can hear you or not. All right, let's not worry about saying hi to him. All right, guys, so let's get working with today's tutorials. I just got a couple of things to show you, and they're mostly related to stuff we were doing in camp this week. So the first one, and let's get over to my teaching screen here. All right, and here's our featured project, which is pen symmetry. So I just got really interested. I was trying to teach some beginner scratch lessons to my students. I've just shared this pen symmetry project, and I will put it into the chat here for you guys. So this is a project I did in camp this week with my kids. I was looking for a beginner pen project that would allow kids to do some cool art without having to do a lot of coding and make even simple drawings look complex. So I thought symmetry is the way to go. So symmetry, of course, is this idea that you get something going in one dimension and then have it repeated across different axes. In this case, across 4 different axes. And because everything is being copied 4 times, it makes even random scribbles look like they're purposeful, like they're part of some big squiggly Rorschach ink block test or something like that. So just a really cool little project here. You can see that it's set up so that when I hold the space bar down, it starts drawing, and when I let go, it stops drawing. I can erase with the E key here and start over again. So let's go to the middle, and you can see that wherever I draw, it's continuing to draw upwards and left and right. So I did just share that in the chat, in the YouTube chat here. Let's have a look under the hood and see how this program works. So first of all, the turning it on and off is just a matter of pressing the space bar, and when I press the space bar, my pen goes down, and it stays, and the pen stays down until I remove my finger from the space key, and then we're good to go. Hello to Min from Vietnam. He's here as well and joined us this morning. Nice to see you again, Min. And why is everyone saying what? I'm not sure. There's a lot of, where am I? In Vietnam, Min. Aren't you in Vietnam? Or is it a different Min? I know a Min from Vietnam. Are you a different Min? All right, we're waiting for Min to get back to us on that. There's a bit of a delay in the chat here. Anyway, I want to get back to my project again. Yeah, yes, Min says he is from Vietnam. So I'm not sure why you were just asking where you're from, because I thought I knew and I thought you knew. I thought we were all up to speed on this, but apparently not. Anyway, okay. So by the way, Min, David's typing in the chat right now. So if you see something that looks like it's being typed by me, I take no credit for it. All right, guys. So let's keep looking at this project. So how did we do this? It was a matter of grabbing the first one. Let me disconnect the other sprites here just for a second for the sake of argument. And I'm going to walk you guys through the code that I'm using. So I've got 4 sprites here. They're all connected to the same bit of code here. When I press the space down, their pen will be kicked off here. So when the green flag's clicked, we're just setting a pen size. We're erasing the old thing. And then what we're doing here is we're just sending this blank sprite to our mouse pointer. And we're storing the XY position of my mouse. So when I click here, oh, I thought I disconnected this. Let's try this one more time. Yeah, so now I'm just drawing one line. So when I move my mouse pointer to the top left of the screen, the sprite will go to that location. And then when I press my mouse button down, it will start to draw underneath my cursor here. And now I can drag this anywhere I want to go to draw a line. Now remember, I'm recording the current XY coordinates of my cursor here. And so now I'm going to go over to my next sprite. We can do this with clones. In a minute, I'm going to show you how this works with clones. But you can see that on my second sprite here, I'm basically doing the same thing. I'm matching my XY coordinates. So I'm sending it not to my mouse coordinates, but to the saved coordinates, my X and my Y, but with a twist. The one on the second sprite here is going to my Y coordinate times -1. So when I go up, this will reverse the number so that the second line will go down. And let's see what that looks like now. So you see, as I draw up, my left-right movements are mirrored, but my up-down movements are the opposite, because multiplying any number by -1, of course, will yield us the opposite direction. And so there we go. And so that's the first bit of symmetry. And we just keep adding that. So in the second one here, we've got the same deal going, except in this one, we're multiplying the X coordinate by -1. So we're mirroring our X and not mirroring our Y. So let's erase this. And we'll run the program again and see what that looks like. So on this one, you can see that the one on the right there is the one that's mirroring my X coordinate. So now I've got 3 of them going here. Meanwhile, I've got a 4th one here where both my X and my Y are mirrored. And once that's connected, now I'm doing the symmetry in 4 different directions and doing something really cool. Well, this got me thinking about, can I add even more of these? Well, it gets really complicated once you start adding more. I was able to just reverse the X and the Y coordinates, and that was working great. But what if I want to get 6 or 8 different lines going? Yes, I am just wondering, why did I say that? Okay, I'm not following this conversation at all. All right, so I was wondering, how do we get this going so that the symmetry across multiple dimensions? Well, that's a little bit tricky, of course, because I can't just reverse my XY coordinates. I have to offset them. So if I have 6 of them, for example, I want each one to be 60 degrees off from the one before it. And so to do that, I have to kind of spin the entire thing around to translate it instead of just flipping things. So I want to show you the project that I've just made here. I've got it going with 4 of them right now, and you can see, oh, this is actually with multiple ones here. Let me show you the original version of it, which is 4 and 4. And so this is basically my duplicate of what I was doing with in the other project. You can see that I've got clones in here and they're all being spun around. But what's cool about this variation of the project is I can put in any number that I want to. So I can go up to 24 clones, for example. 24. Now I'm gonna share, I've shared this project. This is my second one. It's called Pen Symmetry 2. And I'm sharing that one in the chat right now. And so let me show you what this looks like with 16 different guys in it. And you can see how incredibly complex this is getting. So we're taking all our images and we're duplicating them 16 times and offsetting them a little bit each time. And this ends up giving you some really cool effects. I can hit the space key to erase and start over again. And you can see that we got some really neat stuff going here. Let's have a look at the code. Oh God, this is the most satisfying tutorial on earth, says Min. Okay, well, thank you, Min. Min was looking at my Starry Night tutorial that we did last week, and he commented in the YouTube chat that that one was an earth-shaking tutorial for him. That it really changed his life forever. And and so Min is as my biggest fan. I have to say, Min, you're welcome. You're welcome, buddy. Okay, so what's happening in the code here? What is making this thing clone itself? Let's have a look at the basic program. So again, you can call this up yourself if you want to have a look. So when green flag is clicked, we're sending our sprite to the middle. So we have one master sprite and a bunch of clones. So we're going right to the middle, and then we're going to create a certain number of clones for ourselves. So right now I've got it set for 24, but what I can do is actually put a manual little bit of code in here that will set it so that I can just enter an answer to a question every time. So it's going to ask me how many clones. I can enter a number, and then it's going to make as many clones as I answered in that particular question. All right, so, and what we're doing then is we're taking each clone and we're giving it a local variable called offset. So by local variable, it means that each clone is going to have its own offset value, and we're going to change it. So if we did 6 clones here, for example, the first offset would be 360 divided by 60, which is going to be 60, and the next one's going to be 120, and the next one's going to be 180, etc., until we get all the way around. And so with this math set up this way, whatever number we enter, even a weird number like 17, it's going to divide 360 by 17 and give us an offset value that it will exactly add up to 360 once everything's done here. So that part's all looking good. So we got to get rid of this. Sorry. All right, so as soon as we finish setting up our clones, we get into a forever loop here, where what we're doing is we're sending our cursor to where our mouse pointer is, the same way we were in the last version of the project, but then we're tilting it to point. So let's run it right now. I've actually made my sprite visible, and let's clear our screen off, and we'll actually just do one clone here. And so you can see that I've got my object set up to be pointing at the middle all the time. That's important, okay? So my main object is pointing at the middle of the screen. And so there's 2 pieces of information I'm harvesting here is what is the direction that my thing is pointing in? Because as it tries to point at the screen, it's going to steer itself and it will change its direction, right? Oh, dazzling us with science. Oh, Min says that this is kind of looks a little bit like an electron's orbital motion.
I asked what would people draw with this program, and he said he would draw an electron's orbital motion.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, David, thank you. All right, so anyway, so we're facing that central sprite there, and we're harvesting that direction. So we're saying set direction to the direction that the sprite is facing. And we're also setting a variable called distance, which will tell us how far from the center of this dot that we are. So that's what the master sprite is doing. It's just gathering information about how far it is from the center and what direction it's facing in. And so we're going to use this to translate our information to these clones. Let's go have a look at what's happening in the clones here. So we're not drawing with the clones, and we've got some elaborate stuff going on here to stop it from drawing accidentally when we don't want to draw. We're setting our pen size to 4, and we're going to start in the middle the same way we did the last time, and we're going to go out. So we're going to point in the direction that my sprite is here plus an offset. So if we're doing 6 clones here, the offset's going to be 60. So the second clone is going to be at an offset of 60. So it's going to point in the direction. In this case, it's facing in direction 125, but then add 60 to it. So our new clone is going to be facing in 185, which is going to be tilted a little bit towards this way. Then we're going to move from the center out the same distance away that my master sprite is. So we're pointing in a different direction, and then we're going to shoot off into that direction to start drawing. Then we're going to draw a line basically from our current position to the position where we were a second ago. And there's a little bit of code in here. I'm not going to explain it all because you guys can look at it in my finished project. But so what I'm actually doing is I can't draw a line from the center to the edge, because then I just got a whole bunch of radial lines coming out here, which is no good. But if I only draw when I'm out at the edges here, when I'm drawing someplace, and draw from my current mouse position to where it was the moment before, using this variable here called old x and old y, I can end up drawing a little line here that doesn't connect to the middle. I think I can show you what it looks like when that's not engaged by hooking this code up like this. I thought that would work, and it doesn't. So our pens. Oh, I think we the part of the problem is we don't have enough clones going here. So let's restart our program, and we'll do like 10 clones here. There we go. And so you can see that we got some wacky stuff going here. I'm going to hide this sprite, by the way, and let's try 12 clones. And you can see when our pen goes down too early, we get into some trouble here with straight lines appearing at the beginning of our project. Let's try like 24 clones here. We can do as many clones as we want, up to the maximum of 300, but you can see that we're always messing up our shape here right at the beginning. And so that's why we have this little bit of code here that's just checking a temp variable. What we're doing here is just making sure that the first time that we draw, that we're not going to be drawing that straight line from the middle. Let's try a huge number of clones here. Let's try like 200 clones and see what that looks like. Whoa! It looks like a CD a little bit. That is super cool. Wow. That is, I haven't tried that yet. Anyway, so you can take any number of clones and punch it into this project here. Let's try something a little more reasonable, like 30. Yeah, and you can get some really cool spiral shapes going here. I think this is just a really fascinating little project. So the codes, so this version of the project isn't one that I would teach to campers. It's a little bit too complicated, and there's a lot going on here. But you can see how I took my original pen symmetry idea here and just kind of put it on steroids using clones, and ended up with something really, really neat. Super cool and super lag at the same time, says Min. Liam says, I'm going to the project to draw AH. Oh, a house. Okay, Liam says a house. All right. I'd love to see your house, Liam, and if you want to share a project with us or something, then we'd be happy to show it on the stream. All right. Well, I could go on and on with these with this symmetry stuff. I think it's really cool, but I think we're 20 minutes into the stream, so let's move along here. My next little segment here, I wanted to show you guys about a little image editing project that we're working on at camp. So I've been looking for meaningful little projects to do rather than teaching kids to, let's get back to the screen again so I can have a head-to-head chat with you guys. So rather than just saying, today we're going to learn image editing here, let's call some random images up and manipulate them, I wanted to give the kids a meaningful project that would actually help them do something worthwhile and fun while they're learning video editing. So coming up with little prompts like that is always a great challenge for teachers, but I came up with something that was kind of inspired by something I'd seen on Reddit a little while ago, and that is this weird image of a time traveler. Let me show that to you right now. So this is an image that was shot in Canada in 1940. And it looks like a perfectly ordinary image of people wearing fedora hats the way they often did in 1940. And you can see everyone here looks kind of like they belong, except that there's one fellow here who's wearing a hoodie and has a modern haircut. He's wearing no hat. He's holding a camera. He's wearing a t-shirt. And he does not look like he belongs here. He looks like somebody from 2020 who's gone back in time to the 1940s. Now, this is a legit photo, by the way. This is an actual photo that was taken out of the archives in 1940. And so this character here, what on earth is he doing here? He's just somebody who's probably hip and modern and wearing clothes that are a little ahead of his time. No one probably would have noticed, other than saying that this guy's a bit of a ruffian or a rapscallion or something at that time. But seen from modern eyes, it's like, this guy does not belong here. So that got me thinking about whether we could Photoshop images to turn them into time travel images. So here's the little mock-up that we did. This is the famous photo from the end of World War II, a sailor kissing a nurse, probably a total stranger. Everyone was so excited about the end of the war. There was all kinds of crazy stuff happening that day. It was an amazing celebration right around the world on VE Day, the day that the Third Reich had surrendered to the Allies. And but inside this image, unbeknownst to us, is a time traveler, and it is Vector, the character from Despicable Me, or from the Despicable Me series of movies, and he's somehow gotten himself into this image. How did he get there? Well, with a little bit of photo trickery. So we taught our students all about masking, cutting out images, and then hiding other parts of images so that we can superimpose stuff into each other and make it look like they're behind each other, even when they're two totally different images. You can see that we turn this vector into a black and white, added a little bit of blur to it in the photo in the editor as well. And by the time we were done, we ended up with a really cool little time traveler image. Vector the time traveler coming to a time near you, says David. Okay, so yeah, I think this was a really cool idea, and so we used this as a prompt to get our kids working with photo editing. Now, of course, we give them a lot of leeway to do their own stuff, and what our crazy camper students did was they didn't find a historical picture. They took a mashup photo of this is a really cool image from so it's not an old-fashioned image or a photo. It's a painting that contains people from all over history. So I'm not sure what the origin of this photo is, but it basically has historical characters from right across history, from biblical times. Here's Vladimir Lenin. Here's somebody who looks like an Egyptian pharaoh. We've got Elvis here. We've got, I think that's Stalin here. We've got Karl Marx. Karl Marx is sitting at the table with Stalin, which makes a lot of sense. And we got a whole bunch of other people here. Here's Genghis Khan in the background. So a really fun image. I'm sorry I don't know what the origin of it is. Oh, there's Gandhi and a few other characters. Moses, I believe, and Albert Einstein. So it's already a weird historical mashup. And so what we did with our students was we had them insert themselves into this image. And check it out. Here's Vector again. Oh my God, Vector's made it into our image. So looking at this image, I actually wasn't the one who taught this. My co-op student Vanuja taught it. And it took me a long time to actually find a lot of these images. So let's see if we can spot some campers here. I'm zooming in, zooming in, zooming in. There is Emily, one of our campers, right there behind Abraham Lincoln. And you can actually see in here, I think I can make her disappear. Yeah, there she is. So I can actually make her disappear, and you can see how she's just been inserted into the image using masking. We've cut out the parts of her that are behind these other two characters and hidden them. And yeah, Abraham Lincoln. Did I not say Abraham Lincoln, Liam? Anyway, so there's Abraham Lincoln, and behind him is Emily, our student, which is really cool. There's a couple of other people hidden in this picture as well. Way over here is, I believe there's someone over on this side. I've got all these guys set up as layers that we can hide. No, I don't, oh my, even I can't remember where all these guys are. So let me just zoom out to the entire image and we'll try hiding a few layers and see. Okay, here's someone back here. right over in the top corner. Whoop. Yeah, right over in the top corner is another camper. And I think we have one other camper in the middle. Oh, yeah, so that's Emily again. And here's Vector. And finally, there's one camper who's supposed to be off on the side somewhere. I'm not seeing him appearing and disappearing. Oh, I think I'm zeroing in. It's a little bit like Where's Waldo? So we got a camper right over here behind. Is that Genghis Khan? No, that's some kind of a Chinese emperor or Japanese emperor. So right in this corner here, we've got another camper cleverly disguised. So what a fun little exercise. I would love to see you guys out there in TV land come up with your own time traveler images or image mashups like this. It's really not that hard. It's mostly just a matter of selecting an image. In this case, an old image makes it a lot easier to mash into because we've got the ability to make it black and white, which makes everything kind of meld into itself and automatically makes you look a lot older. The Chinese guy is Lubu, says Min, who I would imagine is an emperor of China. The China guy, yeah. So he's a former. Let me look that up just for a second here. See if. You know what? I think Min might be right. He's from the right part of the world. Does this look like our guy? Maybe. So who is Lubu? Let's look up his Wikipedia page. Lubu is a Chinese general, politician, and warlord who lived during the Han Dynasty. Okay, well, you might be right. I don't know. It's definitely a famous character from, and probably from China, and quite may very well be this person anyway. So thanks, Min, for throwing in your input. All right. Anyway, so I don't want to actually teach you guys how to do this today. I just wanted to show you a sense of how this is possible. I think most people who work in the image editors at all and know how to separate the backgrounds from stuff will be able to do this kind of thing. It's just a matter of coming up with the idea. So this is what we were working with this week. We had a fairly young group of kids into camp. They were 8, 9, and 10 years old mostly. So we were just giving their first little exposure to photo editing. And, I'm just seeing Bruce Lee over here. I keep seeing new people who I didn't recognize. And there's Winston Churchill and, Charles de Gaulle. You youngins out there probably don't even recognize a lot of the names of these historical figures anyway. But all right. Oh, Min says he saw Charlie Chaplin somewhere in there. Okay. Oh, and there's, speaking of China, there is Mao Zedong, the despotic ruler of China during the Chinese Revolution in the 1950s, and he ruled China for about 20 years. So yeah, all kinds of interesting historical figures. Oh, Yasser Arafat. I just keep seeing new people. Okay, anyway, we're trying to move on, guys. So lastly, but certainly not leastly today, so we have David on with us today. So David was a co-op student for me earlier this year, and he's continuing on as an employee of chromeworks here, actually. So this summer I've hired him to work as my producer for my live streams, and he's been doing just a bang-up job with us. And in his spare time, he's been working on a game. So David, tell us a little bit about your game before we get into the stream here. So I'm sorry David's not on camera here, so you're going to hear his voice, but you're not going to see him on the stream. So welcome, David.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nice, project your voice, and okay. So David's probably a little nervous here. Anyway, I'm going to get over to David's screen here so that we can actually see his new game. You don't have a name for your game yet, David?
The name for my game I'm thinking about is something like card game chess along the lines.
Okay, so as I understand it, this is a chess game that also has cards. So it's kind of a mashup of like Magic the Gathering and other kind of card games and chess a little bit? Yeah. Okay. And so tell us a little bit about how this came about.
So when I play chess, I often, like, one of the things I don't like about chess is when you're losing by a huge margin, it's practically impossible to come back because you have a lack of material and you're against this entire army of pieces that you have no chance against whatsoever. And my uncle, who's a very good chess player, he says that the problem with competitive chess is that nowadays it almost always ends in a tie, and it's so bad that if black were to play their best game, the best they could hope for if they were playing their best and white was also playing their best is for a tie, because white goes first in a chess game. So I needed to come up with something that could cause the game to change dynamically back and forth. That to create a game where it's possible to come back if you play well enough, and maybe if you get some luck on your side, and to create a game where it doesn't always end in a tie. So that's sort of how this game came to be.
Right. So normal chess is described as kind of a perfect game, a game where there's absolutely no luck involved at all, and it's completely strategy. So you have taken chess and added an element of kind of randomness and strategy to it that goes beyond what normal chess would contain, I guess. Eh?
Yeah.
So as I understand it, your chess game includes cards that you can pick up. So when do you get a card?
So the way how the game works is each player starts with 2 cards in their hand, and they have this tactics die over in the corner. It starts at 3. At the start of each of your turns, it goes down by 1, and it also goes down by 1 whenever you capture a piece. When it reaches 0, you reset it to 3, and then you draw a card. And the reason I went with something like this is because I feel like if you were to draw a card every turn, the game could be a bit too chaotic. So by doing this, it slows it down a bit. So you have that mix of chess in there. And because you can speed it up by capturing pieces, it rewards you for playing better.
Okay. So on average, maybe every 3 or 4 turns you'll get a card? Is that
on average, every 2 to 3 turns.
2 to 3 turns. Okay, great. All right, so we have Deck standing by in England to play a game with us here, eh? So David, I'm not sure how you quite want to set this up, but so we're going to kind of watch a little bit of this game in action, and you can kind of explain some of the details of us as we're playing. Is that what we're doing here? Okay. So I'm just going to turn the mic over to you, and you can kind of lead this the way that you want to. David, you go ahead and grab the microphone over here.
Okay. So, Deck, do you want to start by explaining the cards that we're each holding, or do you just want to get into it?
So I'm not sure if we can hear Deck or not. Deck, can you say something?
Hello.
Hi. Okay, so we can hear you now, I think. You're probably a little bit muddy for the YouTube audience, but we're just going to power through it anyway. So go on, guys.
Okay, so I should probably start by explaining the cards currently on the table and what's going on with the board. I'm playing the white side, Deck is playing the black side. I think it's my turn currently. These are the cards currently over here are cards that are in play, and the cards over here are cards that are in my hand. I'll start with the cards that are currently in play. So this is an event card. It's called Event Finding Treasure. When this card is played, I get to draw 2 cards, and then I discard a card. And then I choose 8 random locations on the board that are unoccupied and mark them. And then if a player ends their turn with a piece on one of those marked spaces, the mark is removed, and then they draw a card. So that's what each of these different chests on the board are. They are marked spaces. So this provides incentive to end your turn maybe in a specific location to maybe get a card and provide you with more options. This card over here is a Summon Royal Guard. Summon pieces are a unique thing that I've added into this game. There will be some that are
new pieces that you've never seen before. There will also be some that are old pieces, like maybe a summon knight or a summon bishop. Basically, a summon piece, you place it on the board, and it can't be moved that turn, and it cannot be placed on the board in a position that puts an enemy king in check. But then on all future turns, it's allowed to move. For the Summon Royal Guard, as an instance, this card is unique because its direction on the board changes every turn. It rotates by 90 degrees, and then the direction it's currently facing depicts which way it's allowed to move. So because it faces to the right now, the Royal Guard, which is this piece over here, can move this way, or this way, and it moves like a queen in the instance where it can keep moving in that direction as long as there's no piece in its path. This Summon Princess is also a new piece. It's represented by this red pawn right here. The Summon Princess moves as if it were a queen, but it can only move up to 2 spaces at a time. And if the queen is captured, the princess is immediately promoted to a queen. So this provides an extra layer of strategy, because now you might want to capture this before capturing the queen, or alternatively, you can put your queen in a certain position, and you don't have to worry if it's captured, because the princess will become your next queen. This is a wandering piece. It's called a Summon Wandering King. All of the wandering pieces, with the exception of the king, they move randomly at the start of each turn, and they're a neutral piece. They can capture pieces from either side of the board, and they can also be captured by either side of the board as well. The king cannot move into a position that puts it in check. If it's ever checkmated, the player who puts it in a checkmating position gets to draw 5 cards. Deck also has a Summon Wandering Rook in play, which is this piece right here. So I think I've explained all the cards in play.
Yeah.
I think we should probably just get into a game to sort of show how it works, and then we'll go from there. So if it's my turn, this die will go down by 1, so I set the rotation value to 2. And then I can play any cards from my hand, or I can make a move on the board. Some of these cards become your turn. Some of them can just be played in addition to your turn. This card right here, because it requires me to move a piece, if I play this card, that will be my turn. Right now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to capture Deck's pawn with my queen and put it right here. That means this goes down by 1, and then because it's the end of my turn, each of these wandering pieces move. So we could first start with the king, where we randomly choose a direction, and it can't move here because of the rook. It can't move here, or it can't move here because of the knight, or here because of the queen. The king's only legal move actually is to move. No, never. I'm sorry. The king does not have a legal move. This has been checkmated, so this is removed, and then I would draw 5 cards for checkmating it. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the rook moves. So the rook has 4 different directions it can go in. So first we'll figure out the direction of either 1, 2, 3, or 4. So we roll this die right here, and it lands on a 2. So it moves in this direction, and it can move 1 or 2 spaces. And it moves 2 spaces. So this knight is captured, and then this rook moves here. And then now it becomes Deck's turn.
Okay.
So Deco,
because
yeah.
I'm in check, I need to move.
Yeah, so walk us through what your thinking is here, Deck, as you play the move.
Yeah, so well, so the queen is protected by the princess, so that means I'm in check. So my only legal move is over
Right.
here.
Don't forget at the
Yeah.
start of your turn, your counter goes down by 1.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Um,
Are there any cards you'd like to play, Deck, or is that all you're going to do this turn?
yeah, that's all. That's all.
Okay. So now at the start of my first the rook moves. So this has 4 different directions again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll roll a die 4. And it lands on a 1. So it can move 1, 2, or 3 spaces. And that's a 4, so we have to re-roll.
Mm.
Okay, it moves 3 spaces and it captures my princess. Alright, there we go. So now it's my turn. My die resets and then I get to draw a card. And now, because I put that king in checkmate on my previous turn, I have a lot of options. The very first thing I need to do is I have to rotate my royal guard, as that's part of the requirement. So I'm going to rotate him. I think the best thing to do is to rotate him to be moving this way, backwards, so that I have more coverage over here. That means that it can move in this direction, or in this direction, any of those 3. If I take a look at the cards in my hand, I have quite some options. I don't want to play this one right now because of the rooks in the back. If I do this, it would kind of just be a waste. This is useful for capturing a lot of pieces at once. Which I think I'm actually going to use right now. Because that seems like the most effective use of a card. So I'm going to play this bomb. The bomb allows me to choose one space that a piece I own is on or is adjacent to, and I get to mark it with a bomb. And then during the start of my next turn, the bomb explodes and all pieces on that space or adjacent are immediately captured from play, but it cannot capture a king. So because my queen's here, I'm going to place a bomb right here. So this puts Deck's 2 pawns and his rook in danger. This also puts my queen in danger, but I still haven't moved this turn. So my move for this turn is I'm going to back up my queen so that it has some more space. And then this way I'll be able to hopefully get 3 pieces at the start of my next turn. First, what's going to happen though is this rook has to move again, so we'll roll a die for that. And that lands on a 1, so it moves this way and it captures Deck's pawn. That's a bit unfortunate because now what that means is instead of getting 3 pieces, I'm only going to get 2. But Deck is currently in check by the rook right now, so now it's his turn.
Okay. Okay, so it just goes to the bomb, so
Yeah.
check then.
Yeah, and don't forget to reduce your counter at the start of your turn. That should be. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, Deck. What are you gonna do?
Okay, so I'm going to Mm, I'm going to capture the rook.
Okay, now that the rook has been captured, this card, well, actually, both of these can go into this card. There we go.
So I should probably mention that we're playing this inside a software system called Tabletop Simulator that's available on Steam, right? So it's basically a framework for building games like tabletop games and bringing them into a computer. Is your plan eventually, David, to port this over to a real world game or to a computer game or both? Or
I've been thinking about both of them, honestly. I think what's likely going to happen is I'm probably going to, once I'm happy with how the game works, I'm probably going to start with some digital version, because aside from the programming, it's just easier. Like making a physical version, the problem with that is I need to be able to supply myself with the right materials, to like print it and then sell it.
right.
But if I have the money to do that, I think I'm probably going to do both, is what I'm thinking.
Right. So the startup costs are a lot less for a video game, of course. It's just a bunch of the effort you put into designing all the sprites and all the coding, right? But but a real world game that you sell to people, you actually have to manufacture it, which of course is going to take some cash, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay. Anyway, we'll play a little bit more, David. I'm not sure how long we can. Like, is there a natural ending point here for this demo?
I think we could probably just play one more turn each and then just end it there, I think.
Sounds good, David. So go ahead with that.
Is that all you're going to do, Deck?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
So then it becomes the start of my turn, which means the bomb card is resolved. And because it resolves, it captures both the pawn and the rook, so I get 2 pieces, just like that. I'm going to rotate the guard again as part of the start of my turn. So this can go 90 degrees this way, so it moves right again.
Oh, do we remove the bomb?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, we remove the bomb because that's no longer needed.
Okay.
Alright, so I think what I'm gonna do is, now that that rook is no longer in the path, I'm going to play instant promotion. This allows me to choose one of my pawns, and this turn it can move forward any number of spaces, and it can jump over any pieces that happen to be in the way. So I'm going to move this pawn right here up to where your king is, which means it gets to promote, and I'm going to promote it to a queen. And this queen is protected by this queen back here. So I don't think that's checkmate, but that's definitely pretty close. So then now would be your turn. And let's see if you maybe have a way to get out of this with the cards in your hand. Don't forget, now your counter resets, meaning that you'll draw a card.
Okay, so I will play. So I can only go here. I think. Okay, so I'm going to use a summon knight.
Okay. So that allows you to take back one of your captured knights, and you get to put it somewhere on the board.
Okay.
The only restrictions are you can't put it somewhere that puts my king in check, and your knight cannot be moved this turn.
Okay. Okay, so I will
Okay, so I think Deck's dad just walked in, but sorry, is it Deck's turn still or?
Yeah, it's still Deck's turn.
Yes,
Is everything all right, Deck?
I finished.
Okay.
Yeah, I pressed the knight here.
Okay, that's it.
This is the knight.
Yeah, so that's all we're
Yeah.
gonna do then. So we could go over what each player has in their hand if we have time for that. I don't know. Up to you.
Yeah. Well, is this a natural stopping point? Do we
Yeah,
kinda get,
yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So yeah, of course this is the middle of the game, but so anyway, that's a little bit of a flavor of David's new chess game. Let me get back onto me again here. There we are. So thanks for that, David. Yeah, it does look like an intriguing concept, and I can see, I mean, it's never going to replace real chess, of course, but for people, particularly I think beginners who are never really going to master this and maybe are playing against adults or people who are a little more skilled at this might be a really great way introduction to some of the rules of chess and a way to play it where even people who aren't super skilled might have at least a chance of winning instead of just getting crushed every time the way, like anytime you play against somebody who knows more about chess than you do, it's just an instant defeat for you, right? So here's a chance for people with less skill to play and maybe get a chance to do something. You'd agree with that, David?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Liam, if you're still out there, buddy, we've been talking back and forth. I'd really love to get your piano game on here. Liam's been telling us that he wants us to look at his new piano game, but there's like 100, as Min says, there's 100 games on here named piano, and we don't know your Scratch username. And Lolme93. Okay, he just typed that in there. So let me see if we can find Liam's account here. Lolme93. Okay, and so I found Liam's user account here, and let's see which one is this piano project. Just draw. Okay, I'm in your account, and again, in your account or in the account called Lolme93, I don't see anything called My Piano in here. Oh, My Piano, here it is. It's quite old. Okay, we finally found Liam's game. So without further ado, here is Liam's piano game. Let's have a look at it. And it even says Liam Shaw on it. Okay, so yeah, it's a little interactive piano. I was doing something very similar with my camp students the other day. Yeah, it's not looking bad. If I can give you one little tip, Liam, it would be to create you want a little bit of feedback in your project to let you know that you've pressed a note here. So what I would do here is create a second costume on this note, like just duplicate this note and then maybe add a little bit of a gray shading or something to it. So I'm actually going to go with a radial gradient here and go from white to a little bit of gray and then fill up this circle with that. Now that's too much. Let's just go a little lighter on that gray. Just a subtle effect. So I'm just going to show you how to amp up your game and make it look a little more professional here. So I've got two different costumes here. And what I would do here, Liam, is when this sprite is clicked, I would switch costume to the second costume, and then for the duration of the project, it would be wearing that. So of that note playing, it would be wearing that costume, and then immediately flick back to costume one again when you're done playing the note. And so now your players have a little bit of feedback that you're hitting a note. Do you see what that looks like? To my mind, that looks a little more professional. Like you could go with something even more subtle than that if you didn't want to go crazy with it. Let me try a super light gradient here that just goes just to the lightest possible little titch of gray here, just like that. And we'll fill it up with that. And now let's see what that looks like in the editor here. Yeah, just a little subtle effect, maybe a little bit more than that anyway, but can you see how that just makes it feel more like you're not just touching stuff on a screen, that you're actually hitting a real piano key, and that's the kind of impression you want to give. Anyway, Liam, so Min says my computer will explode if I turn on that many tabs on Google. Okay. Anyway, this is a lovely little piano, Liam. I like the design of it, especially your use of curves in the little container that's holding it, and the way you put your name into it. And the symmetry of it is perfect as well. Every single piece is the same size, and they're all spaced perfectly. I don't know if you used math to space these guys or not. Yeah, you did. So this one here is at minus 1328, and this one here is at 2328. So we're just spacing them exactly 30 pixels apart. Yeah, exactly. So by using math, you've managed to space these out quite nicely in a way that looks very professional. Often when I see kids drawing projects like this, everything's a little out of alignment. You can't. I can't even move this stuff out of alignment right now, even if I try, because my project's running. But so let me just turn it off here. So often when I see particularly young kids doing stuff like pianos, everything's kind of all over the place a little. Well, not, this is a bit of an exaggeration, but it's often like that. And so you've got this stuff set up in a way that where everything is perfectly spaced and everything's organized properly. I've totally ruined your file now, though. It's okay, because I'm just in a remix version of it. But anyway, lovely project, Liam. Thank you so much for sharing that. I will paste the URL for Liam's piano game in the chat here, and anyone out there in TV land who's watching, all two of you, please call up his game and give us a little give him a little like and a follow maybe. And I'm already following Liam. I'm pretty sure I am. Let me just have a look here. No, I'm not. Okay, Liam, I just gave you a follow. And your piano project, I didn't like it, so I'm going to like it right now. Anyway, we are running out of time here, guys. Let's just get back to me again. There we go. I've liked and favorited your project. So yeah, it's 12 o'clock now. We've been droning on here for quite a while. I'd like to thank David for coming back and showing us his great chess game. We'll be back again next week with another live stream, David and I, hopefully. And after that, I'm not so sure anymore. We're just not getting very many views on these live streams, and they're taking quite a bit of time to put together. So if you want more live streams, send me some love here, guys. Show up. Thank you to Liam, who showed up, and thank you to Min, who showed up here today. And thanks especially to Deck in England, who worked with David this week getting this chess learning David's chess game and getting this demo ready. So we really appreciate your help there, Deck. And thanks again, David, for showing us your game. So we're back next week. I'm not sure what we're doing. We'll see what's happening in camp, and as usual, I'll come to you with a new tutorial based on something we did in camp. My co-op students are working on a multiplayer gaming tutorial that I'm hoping to release in the next couple of weeks. Multiplayer has been my most popular download or YouTube view by far, and so there seems to be an endless depth of hunger among Scratch users for more information on multiplayer gaming. So you guys can look forward to that in the near future. I will be coming up with a brand new multiplayer gaming tutorial. Maybe not next week, though. So lots coming up, and thank you guys for watching, the few of you who are, and the rest of you, boo for you.